Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. NERC finds discos for overbilling customers. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has imposed fines on distribution companies, discos, for violating billing practices between July and September 2024. The discos failed to adhere to monthly energy caps issued by the NERC, leading to overbilling of customers. The fines totaling 628,031,583 naira.94 kobo represents the 5% of the gross overbilling during the review period. In addition to the fines, NERC has directed the affected discos to provide credit adjustments to overbilled customers by May 15, 2025, which aligns with the end of the April 2025 billing cycle. This action follows the Commission's 2020 order on capping of estimated bills designed to align estimated bills for unmetered customers with actual consumption for metered customers. NERC emphasizes ongoing commitment to consumer protection and regulatory compliance within Nigeria's electricity industry, reaffirming its stance against arbitrary billing practices and ensuring that consumers are fairly treated. Joining us this morning to discuss this is Comrade ADEBAYO. He's the national spokesperson, C.U.P.P. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. All right, so overbilling consumers in this case, and I mean, a lot of times we speak about the energy sector in Nigeria, and one of the things that has even been said in the past was, the electricity subsidy has to go because they don't have enough money. But in this case, we're seeing discos making so much money by billing the consumers. With the fact that the NERC has come out to impose this fine on them and ensure that they give credit facilities to the consumers, would you say that this is a win-win for Nigerians, especially in a time like this?
I don't see any win-win situation for Nigeria or for Nigerians here because the crazy bills, the non-monetary billing system is an official way of robbing Nigerians, and the government has not been proactive in protecting the interests of the people. This is the first time we have seen some kind of maybe skeletal tokenism in terms of mouthing concerns for consumers. Otherwise, the government really doesn't bother about the welfare and the service delivery, adequate service delivery of the discos to Nigerians. All they are after is just collect money, and collect money. There is no win-win situation here. The only people who are winning here are the operators and the owners of the discos, to the detriment of the overwhelming majority of Nigerians. Businesses are collapsing due to epileptic power supply. That is why the fact that we are paying a lot for nothing. We are just paying, more or less paying for darkness, a lot of us are running on generator at home and in the offices. We are running on generator, and we know how crazy the amount of buying fuel and diesel is nowadays. So there's no win-win situation here for Nigeria. Unfortunately, we are yet to have a government in this country that is really concerned about the interests of the people, about the welfare of the people, about the well-being of the people, about the success of the people. Businesses once you have energy crisis, you are going to have economic crisis. There is no way any country in the world that has not been able to deal effectively with its energy challenges will continue to experience economic downturn. And that since flag independence to date, no government has been able to fix the energy problem of Nigeria, the power problem of Nigeria. The Obasanjo regime, is notoriously known to have wasted, blown $16 billion on electricity that didn't even have a single bit of improvement under his administration. It's quite unfortunate. That incident, the $16 billion has been subject of investigation. NGOs, especially the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACOR, has petitioned the EFCC on this issue. But what happens in Nigeria when they are investigating big people, they just sweep the whole thing under the carpet. $16 billion. Somebody must render account for that. And all these monies are voted every year, but yet there is no improvement in our power supply. You know, how much do we really need to improve power supply, power distribution, power generation in this country? How much do we need? If 16 billion could just go down the drain without a trace up to now. You know, the former President Muhammadu Buhari, who didn't also do well at all, questioned the fact that 16 billion naira gone. Where is the power? Where is the power? And I think the former governor of Lagos State, Fashola, came in as Minister of Power and told us that power belongs to God. So all these things, these people don't really care about us. That's the issue. So there is no win-win situation here. We are still have a very long way to go. I wonder why countries that are considered to be lesser in terms of economic potentials and economic realities than Nigeria are generating more power than Nigeria. That's quite unfortunate.
I mean, you just took it right out of my mouth, because if you look at South Africa has a population of just about 60 million people, and they're generating about 70,000 megawatts. But here in Nigeria, with a population of over 200 million people, we're still struggling with about 45,000 megawatts. Now, one thing that has been said is, obviously, Nigeria generates power and we give power to other countries who maybe they can boast of almost 24 hours of power. But here, we cannot boast of that. And then even with the little that we get, consumers are being overbilled. So with the discos having to, violate the energy caps here, and this is obviously a breach, when you look at the bigger picture of consumer protection, what is the role of the FCCPC in this place? Because I know that there's obviously going to be the credit that they will give them. So it's almost like, oh yes, we tried to steal your money a bit and we got caught, so we're going to give it back. But what is the role of the FCCPC when it comes to consumer protection in Nigeria?
Well, that agency needs to up its game in terms of consumer protection regime. It has to up its game. It has to find a way. We need to see that agency working to protect Nigerians, as its name suggests. Yeah. For now, it's not doing nearly enough in that respect. People, even if you have issues with your electricity in your estate, in your house, anywhere, you call these people. This coast, they will still come and bill you. It's usually whereby you are the ones to buy the post, you are the community will buy the transformer, do this, and then all they need to do is to connect you to the national grid so that you can be generating. So you still have to pay factually for everything and getting a terribly low return on investment in terms of services rendered, in terms of quality of services rendered. And we are moving towards 5,000 megawatts, and you see the Minister of Power jumping up and celebrating as if we are at the level where it's just enough to cater to the electricity needs of a local government. Yet, for the most populous country in Africa, less than 5,000, they are jumping up and celebrating. And even now, I'm running on generator. So, what you have, by average of power availability per month is just like 4 days per month that you can claim to have electricity. 4 days in 30 days. That is the average. That is the average. And that is the average bill in Nigeria. Yeah. It's quite unfortunate. And then, of course, we still pay these crazy bills. Keep coming.
If I'm being honest, I was speaking to Nyangul the other day, and I told him that in 30 days, I've only had power all night for maybe about 4 or 5 days in the whole of 30 days. So imagine every single night I am burning diesel just to provide power for myself, and that's power that we're supposed to be getting. I never just understand it, but let's focus on this fine that has been slapped on the discos. This is something that has happened before, because a lot of people say the discos are always flouting, consumer protection, and they're always obviously trying as much as possible to overbill consumers. Do you think the fact that they've been fined with just over 628 million is something enough to keep them accountable, or is it just a slap on the wrist and we might still be here again speaking on this same issue?
Exactly, that is what it is. It's slap on the wrist. And it is neither here nor there. It's not going to have any impact on how they behave going forward. Now, that money they are going to pay, the fine they are going to pay, they are still going to collect from us, Nigerians. They find a way to rip us off and collect that money. In fact, times 10 from us. That's it. It is going to still be a burden to be borne by the people of Nigeria, by Nigerians. It is not. It's not even a scratch in the back. It's a slap on the wrist, as I've said. It's just nothing. They don't even care. They will pay the money and collect it back from us times 10. They will find a way to collect it from us. That's it. They have many ways. There are many ways to kill a cat. They will find a way to collect the money. When they are fine, they don't care. They don't bother. They will make sure that they still collect the whole thing back from Nigerians. That is the unfortunate.
So what can be done to ensure that?
So the fine it doesn't serve as an effective deterrence against ripping Nigerians off. So we must know that it's not deterrence at all. They will still find a way to collect the money back from, just like transporters.
Okay.
If you start selling PMS today, 2,000 naira per liter, it has nothing to do with the transporter, the driver. No, all they do is they will just put it on the commuters, on the passengers. That's all. The same way these people will do. So
okay, so what can be done, Comrade Mark? So what can be done for them to respect consumer rights? Like, what is that thing that you think they need to, maybe a strict measure to ensure that going forward we're not back here?
You see, for me, I mean, there are some extreme measures that need to be taken by the government, but there's no political will to do it. Because if one or two of the discos, if their licenses are withdrawn, others that will take one from them will sit up. But do we have the political? Because it is the people in government or their friends who also own these discos. So they get away with many infractions. They get away with many indiscretions. They get away with many. They get away with defrauding Nigerians, collecting money for services or render. I mean, where else in the world do you find, private agencies, private companies, collecting money for services not rendered? Where else in the world except in Nigeria? Because the people that own the discourse are either in government or they are their friends, they are their cronies, and so they protect them. They have the protection of government to maltreat Nigerians, not to provide power. So there are not enough sanctions. There are no sanctions at all whatsoever for these people. This is 20-something. What does that? What was that? How does that benefit Nigerians? Are they going to now return the money to Nigerians, or in terms of units of power you are going to use?
Well, they say they would give you some credit.
They just collect the money and share it among themselves, and then the discourse will now put the burden on Nigerians to pay back. They will collect the money back, even maybe 10 times.
Okay.
Maybe tenfold.
So something else I want to speak about.
It has nothing to do with deterrence.
Yeah. Something else I want to speak about is people who obviously do not have meters. There are a lot of people that do not have meters, and in fact, applying for a meter, it's so tedious. The process is so tedious, right? So many people are vulnerable to these things. How do you think the government can ensure that people have their meters, right? That is not estimated billings, because with the estimated billings, it makes them vulnerable, so they can charge you whatever and say that's how much you should pay. In fact, one of our staff here was complaining about how his bill ran up to almost ₦1 million, and because it's an estimated bill. So what can we do, or how can the government ensure that everybody has prepaid meters? You pay for what you use. Isn't that how it's supposed to be done?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it's supposed to be done. But you see, they deliberately make the meter scarce and unavailable to Nigeria, because the estimated billing system is a roguish system that makes it possible for them, very easy for them to rob Nigerians. And they prefer to rob Nigerians than to get the real money for the value they render. But they know that everybody gets a meter. They will not be able to find a way to rob Nigerians. So it is a systemic robbery. The estimated billing pays the discos more because they can rob Nigerians for as much as they can, and without the government intervention. So the government is supposed to even say that you stop, because once I want a system whereby once I apply for a meter, I have evidence that I've applied for a visa, for a meter, and I have my document with me. If you don't supply me meter within 1 month, I will continue using electricity without paying anything. Once that kind of regulation is in place, you will see that they will sit up. Everybody will get meters overnight.
Comrade Mark.
I did that thing. No, may his soul rest in perfect peace. The first president ever in this country that reduced the prices of PMS. The first president in this country that said, look, if you don't provide electricity to people, you are not collecting money. In fact, I think he put a moratorium of about a year that you are not collecting money from Nigeria. That was the first president in the history of this country that ever woke up one day and said, look, let me help these people. But what do we have now? Every day, in fact, they say they are removing subsidy from everything. So we have a punitive regime in place that says that, look, for electing me to power, I'm going to punish Nigerians. You're not going to have power. If you're going to have electricity, you're going to pay through your noses to even have little skeletal services of electricity. You are going to, so no access to power, no access to energy. Everything is in crisis. The economy is in downturn. And then the little things that should help Nigerians, where should help Nigerians with the little epileptic 4 days in a month that are supplying, you say you are removing subsidy. You know, what kind of wickedness is that? So the government that we are calling upon are also the people who own the discourse, and that is where the challenge is. That in other insane climates, if you have interest in business, you have no business in certain areas of business, especially the crucial areas of the economy, power, energy, and coal. You have to withdraw your interest from those concerns before you can contest for office. But here today, you see people who are the owners of the banks, of the discos, and all of that, of the airlines and everything. So how do you now begin to regulate the regulators? That is the issue. Because yes, and they are the owners of these business concerns. That is the dilemma that Nigerians have found ourselves.
Yeah, so I was just even laughing when you said, if I don't get my meter in 1 month, I should be able to use power for free. And I'm like, these are the same people that are overbilling their consumers. How do you think that's going to fly? I don't even think they'll let that work.
If there's a political will, if there's a political will to, remember when people were planning to go out on protests against hunger in the land, and suddenly we began to see that the networks were malfunctioning. Somebody said they should go back and register SIM and the rest of that. The government came out immediately and gave an order to reverse that nonsense, and it was done immediately. So if the government comes out with a political will and say, look, if any Nigerian has an evidence that he has applied for and paid for prepaid meter and is not given within 30 working days, that Nigerian has a right to continue using electricity without being charged for as long as until you bring meter. They will sit up. Of
course, I agree with you. I mean, that would twist their arm. You know, it would force them to ensure that every Nigerian home can obviously get this meter. But as we wrap up now, what is the role of, you know, the media, the civil society organizations in ensuring that we keep this, not just the discos, right, but even the regulators accountable? Because one thing that is lacking here is accountability. And that's just the truth. So how do we keep these people accountable for their actions? Because let's be honest, we keep talking about fraud and, you know, saying they're Yahoo boys and this, but in a way, this looks like fraud. Because you having to overbill your customers, you know what you're doing, and you took their money, their little money that they don't even have, because we're still talking about 70,000 naira as minimum wage. So what do we do to ensure that we hold these people accountable? And the regulators, the ones who are supposed to be, you know, holding the discos accountable, if they do not do that, then we have to come for them. So what do we do here?
Well, now, you see, it doesn't look like fraud. It is fraud. As a matter of fact, it is outright stealing and robbery of Nigerians. But it's not as if it looks like it is.
It is fraud.
What they do. They are robbing us. They are stealing the money. So now, for the media are doing excellently well in this area. Not only in this area, but in other areas of highlighting the inefficiencies of this discourse and other agencies of government, especially the regulators that are not doing what they are supposed to be doing. The media, we cannot ask the media to do more than they are doing. It's part of your corporate social responsibility that you have brought this one today. You have been bringing issues like this. I've read features, articles in the newspapers almost on a daily basis about power and energy. So the media, it is now left for the civil society to do more than we are already doing. For instance, I believe that civil society can commence legal actions against these discourses. These suggestions are brought that if you do not provide meter after 1 month of application, you begin to give light for free. We should be able to come together and submit a bill to the National Assembly for them to deliberate upon and make law. And make it a law that this is what should obtain. That is the role of civil society. It's not the role of the media. The media are already doing theirs by highlighting these things, that bringing this thing into public into public domain for conversation, for discussion, for suggestions and solutions. The media has been doing that, you know, long ago. So the society must up their game and make sure they begin to call to account these schools and other and the regulatory agencies that are supposed to beat them to line, but who are not doing their job. That is it. Civil society, more work to be done by the civil society. Media have been doing more than enough for this country in the area of justice, in the area of human rights, in the area of democracy, in the area good governance and everything. The media from pre-independence to date, the media has never disappointed Nigerians, and kudos to them for doing that. The media have been the flagship of fighting for good governance, for human rights, for justice in this country, even for unity. It is the media. So the media is the so-called fourth estate of the realm that's supposed to be the first estate of the realm, as you know, has done more than well for this country. And kudos to them.
Thank you so much, sir. This is how much we can take on the show right now, or rather, you know, on this segment. We want to say thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure having you. Just come and share your valuable contributions, and as we discuss, you know, topical issues like this. Thank you so much, Comrade Mark.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Plus TV Africa.
Thank you, sir. All right, so we're speaking with Comrade Mark Adebayo. He's the national spokesperson for the Coalition of United Political Parties. And we're just discussing the fact that NERC has, you know, fined, you know, discos for overbilling customers. We'll go on a short break now. Up next, we'll be discussing the Rivers State crisis. PDP governors to sue block state of emergency. So please stay with us.